Brought to you by GoFigureNews.com. Hey there, YouTubers and collectors. This is Salvador Los Angeles with my review of Presidential Monsters action figures made by Heroes in Action. I'm going to show you all of them in their packages first. We have Lincolnstein, Phantom of the White House, Monster from the Watergate Lagoon, the Ronmy, Zom Bush, Wolf Bill, and Baracula. Here they all are. These are all the figures available. We have been teased with subsequent figures to come. We are waiting on some new figures from series, I think it would be 2 and 3, and I think that the action figure series is probably, though, dead in the water, about as dead as some of these presidents here. They have a great-looking Andrew Jackson, Jax Ferratu figure, I think it's called. They have a George Washington Spirit of 76, a ghostly George Washington figure that we were teased. We were teased with these figures. I don't know if anything's happening. Anyway, we're going to take a look at all of them one at a time, in their packaging, out of their packaging, presidential monsters. Here is Lincolnstein in package. One thing I'm going to want to highlight is the artwork on these packages. There are 2 artists responsible for the artwork. There it says Heroes in Action 2011, made in China, heroesinaction.com. This is by a tremendous artist. There's 2 guys responsible for, I think, both the illustrations on the packaging as well as the sculpts themselves, I believe. Here is our cast of characters going down the right-hand side of the box of the Lincolnstein figure. I think it's the same. I think it's the exact same back on all of them. Here are the characters in their funky little poses, looking fun and great. The owner of Heroes in Action is a fan of this guy, Ken Franco Toscanini. Father, mentor, and a true Superman. I had to Google him, and apparently he was one of the premier, first and foremost collectors of Superman memorabilia, like the biggest collection. But what I want us to pay attention to especially is Lincolnstein art by Jason Edmiston. Jason Edmiston is one of the artists responsible for these drawings, and I believe some of the sculpts, as well as another artist. Here we have Phantom of the White House. That is John F. Kennedy. Look at this fabulous artwork. A second artist responsible for this. So 2 guys responsible for the artwork. Pay attention to that mask. That mask is a frowny face. I will reference that later. Phantom of the White House art by J. Anthony Kosar. He is the other artist that I was talking about. J. Anthony Kosar and Jason Edmiston. 2 fantastic artists responsible for the illustrations as well as the sculpts, I believe. And there's the back of the packaging. Next, we have Monster from the Watergate Lagoon. Of course, this is Richard Nixon. I don't think they could use the word creature. Maybe it's copyrighted. And there he is throwing up the V. That is V for victory. A little bit of trivia. Not a peace sign when Nixon threw it up, but a V for victory. He was known for that. Monster from the Watergate Lagoon art by J. Anthony Kosar. 8-inch fully posable action figure. And there is a black and white version. Next up is the Ronmy. Of course, Ronald Reagan. Patterned after the Mummy. And here he is. Fantastic, colorful artwork. I love color. There is a king cobra snake. And if you look at the back, you see hieroglyphics, but then you have stars and stripes like the American flag. It's like a tomb, but in America, like an American Egyptian tomb. The Ronmy art by Jason Edmiston. And there is, of course, the black and white version on the back. Next up we have Zom Bush, as in George W. Bush, as the zombie. The zombie. And there is the artwork there coming out of the grave. I love when zombies come out of graves, a la Thriller. Zombush art by J. Anthony Kosar. And there is the black and white version on the back. Next up we have Wolf Bill. Of course, that is Bill Clinton as the Wolfman. Fabulous artwork. There he is in the woods, howling at the moon, the full moon. And he's got his right hand in that gesture that he does. Wolf Bill art by Jason Edmiston. It also says ages 6 and up, by the way. Collect them all. And there is the black and white version. Last but not least, of course, our sitting president, Barack Obama as Baracula, Or also, you got to reference Blacula, if you remember the 70s blaxploitation movie Blacula. So you have Baracula as Dracula, but sort of an homage to Blacula. Baracula, art by Jason Edmiston. And there is a different, I think, sort of a reddish, not black and white, sort of a reddish version. Here is our cast of characters starting on the left all the way to the right. This is the order that they were in the White House. I wish that they would have made an FDR figure, like a Franklin Delano Roosevelt figure in a wheelchair. That would have been cool. Also somebody to put between Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy. Now here is Abraham Lincoln as Lincolnstein. Of course, that's Frankenstein. Fantastic head sculpt. Look at that little detail. He's got the stitches on his wrist. He looks fantastic. I love these little details. We're going to get into the clothing, too. The clothing is fantastic. Very well made. Not just cheap doll clothing. Very well-made clothing. Durable to the touch. He's got painted black nails. Who has painted black nails? I don't know. His head moves around. His shoulders move around. He's somewhat inhibited by his clothing, but there is pretty good movement. I don't try to push the issue on movement and articulation too much, because I'm not going to be posing these much. I'm more of a pay and display, as I call it. But he does have shoulder movement, elbow movement, wrist swivel, and hinge. He's got waist swivel. He's got a lot of hip movement out to the side and front and back. Knee hinge. I wish that he had giant Frankenstein boots or like Herman Munster boots to make him a little bit taller, because he's the exact same height as the other figures with his hat. We're going to get into his hat in a second. His hat makes him taller, but otherwise he would be the same height. I think if he would have had some giant boots, it would have accentuated his height, which would have been great. Here is the hat that he comes with. I think it's called a stovepipe hat, if I'm not mistaken. And there are the bolts coming out of the side, just like Frankenstein. But Lincolnstein has the bolts coming out of his stovepipe hat, I think it's called. I may be wrong. His beard looks great. All right, let's open him up. Let's see what he's working with here. Lincolnstein, he is sexy. Next up, we have John F. Kennedy, Phantom of the White House. This mask comes off. Let's look at the mask for a second, though. It's fantastic, but it is patterned after comedy and tragedy. It is comedy. The inside is molded. It looks really great. But on the package, it shows him with a tragedy. And then in another little picture, it shows him with both. So I was under the impression he might have come with two masks. We only have one here. I think he only came with one mask. But it fits nicely on his face. All you got to do is put it on there. It fits real nice. It would have been cool to have a little drawstring on the back just for show, but it fits just fine without it. Hair looks great. Not the most wonderful hair, but it does look really great. And there he is with his mask. So we're going to take his mask off and see John F. Kennedy. Fantastic head sculpt. Let me tell you something. The stars of these figures is their head sculpt. Tremendous artwork. In fact, I think these are some of the best head sculpts I've seen on figures in my collection anyway. Let's check out his vest. His vest is fantastic. Very intricate. Nice fabric. Wonderful detail on his clothing. Little fantastic apparel. I really love it. Check out his nails. He's got the black nails. Palm of his hand looks really great too. And I really want to get a close-up on this vest in a moment. Let's check out his articulation. I think it's all the same articulation in all these figures. He's got the knee, he's got the hip, shoulders, wrist, elbows. Head moves side to side, although I don't show it, I think. But check out this vest. Man, I love the color on this, the texture. I love the detail, the stitching. Fantastic vest. I would wear a vest like this. Hips are a little loosey-goosey, but not a big deal. Shoes are patent leather looking. His knees bend. Again, same articulation as the other figures, I believe. Check out his cape. I love how he has a real chain on his cape. I love real chains. I can't even say that enough. Thank you. The cape is good quality. He looks fantastic in it. And of course, this is John F. Kennedy as Phantom of the Opera, but instead he's Phantom of the White House. Great looking cape. I love the clothing on this stuff. You can put the mask in his hand, have him hold it. That's really fun. I just wish that he came with the two masks. That's my only problem. Next up we have Monster from the Watergate Lagoon. I guess they couldn't use the word creature, might be copyrighted, but man, look at those gills, look at those scales. I love this. He's throwing the victory sign, again, not the peace sign, but the victory sign. And his hands are pre-posed in that position, so you can't change them. Maybe it would have been cool if he would have came with some extra hands, maybe some swimming hands, maybe open. But if you're going to have one set of hands, I do agree this is very iconic, his iconic victory sign. So there go his webbed fingers, and we're going to have a look at his toes. Man, check out his cute feet. That looks great. We're going to open them up. Now, the owner of Heroes in Action is a big Mego collector and Mego fan. So he patterned these figures after Mego figures. I'm not so crazy about cloth representing skin as is the case here, but you know what? I'll take it, and I appreciate the homage. No problem. It's not my first choice, but you know, because you got the pant leg is meant to represent his scaly skin, but that's cloth, but that's Mego style. Feet, a little bit tough on this one, a little bit stiff on the left ankle, but I finally got it moving, so there we go. I am not a fish. I think it would be fun if you said that. Throw up that peace sign. Oh, I keep saying peace. It's a victory sign. He's got some ab crunch. Got to have strong abs if you're going to be swimming. Next up, we have Ronald Reagan as the Ronmy, patterned after the Mummy. Also looks like Boris Karloff. He looks like it's almost like an homage to Boris Karloff and Ronald Reagan. As a little bit of Salvador Los Angeles trivia, I was acquainted with Ronald Reagan's son, Michael Reagan, as well as Michael Reagan's wife, Maureen, I believe her name was, and their daughter, I believe her name was Ashley. They were a very nice family I used to know from the gym. We didn't talk politics. They were pleasant folk. We used to talk about running and exercise. Patterned after the Mummy, I think there is a little problem there, though. On his left-hand side there, we have Velcro, but nothing on the right-hand side. No Velcro. So I think that's a mistake. But the good thing is when you're dealing with figures like this, you can have a factory defect. You can have an error. And it's not a big deal. I mean, his clothes are jagged anyway. So, you know, if there's a problem with a little bit of raggy clothing, it's no big deal. But I do think that was a problem, a little factory defect. His clothing is fun. It's all ripped up. He's in a suit, but underneath him are the bandages. And again, clothing to represent the bandages, as is Mego fashion. Hands look really great. Color of the skin matches his skin tone on his face. But I'll tell you, with these figures, it's all about the clothing and the head sculpt, and mainly the head sculpt. Same articulation as the rest of the figures. The Ronmy can move his elbows around. I think his arm is backwards there. But his arms have plenty of movement. Elbows, all the whole thing. Again, standard articulation in all of these figures, I believe. Try to get him in some of a mummy pose. I keep saying mummy. Is he a... Wait, he's the Zom Bush. No, he's not the Zom Bush. I'm not even there yet. Wow, I need to stop drinking. He is a mummy. All right, there's Ronmy, the Mummy. His socks. It looks like he's wearing fun socks. Next up is Bill Clinton, Wolf Bill. He is howling at the moon. Obviously, this is meant to, you know, kind of poke fun at his philandering, if you will. He's going to come with a saxophone. I think the saxophone reminds me of Cocopelli. If you know the image of Cocopelli from the Southwest, Cocopelli carries a flute. The flute represents his penis. I think the saxophone represents his penis. Speaking of his penis, is this supposed to be his tail on the back, or was I supposed to put that on the front? Oh! Great looking tail you can plug right in. It's kind of funny that has a tail. The Wolfman didn't have a tail, but Wolf Bill has a tail. That's kind of funny. He's got some sharp black claws, which are fun. And his hand, I didn't realize it at first, but his hand is in that gesture that he does. When he's speaking, giving a speech, he gives that little gesture. I think other politicians have followed suit. His clothes are rat-a-tat, which is fun. His feet, I was going to say shoes. His feet are fantastic. Man, look at those little wolf feet. Those little black toenails. Those are fun. I really love this guy's feet. The clothes are jagged, as though he turned into a werewolf. His clothes got all teared up? Yeah, whatever. I like the jagged rat-a-tat clothes. I think this might be the same suit in the upcoming Zom Bush that you're going to be seeing in a moment. Check out his collar, trying to fix it. Trying to take a little iron to that, straighten that out. And let's have a look at his little saxophone that he comes with. It's just a lot of fun that he comes with the saxophone. You can put it in his left hand. It just kind of dangles there. I really wish that you can hold his saxophone a little bit better. Otherwise, he's kind of dangling it in his hand. But there you go. Put the gesture up with the right hand. Have him holding the saxophone with his left hand. And there is Wolf Bill. Here we have Zom Bush. Now, this is George W. Bush as a zombie. Man, I'd probably say that this might be my favorite face sculpt. This might be. Because it is, I think, the most horrific. He really does look dead. He looks dead. And check out his hands. Check out his feet. This is the only one of them that has real feet. The other ones are wearing shoes, or they have the monster from the Black Lagoon feet. But he's the only one with real feet, and they're so cool. The suit, again, I think we're dealing with the same suit that Bill Clinton had. But, it's altered depending on the figure. In this instance, he's a zombie. And so he's got it's kind of dirty, like he crawled out of the dirt. I wish that he had a tie, though, because this would imply that he crawled out of the grave. He would have been buried with a tie. So I think he should have a tie, maybe a loose tie, a loose, dirty tie. And they all have the Velcro over the jacket. You can open him up and then close him back up again. Same articulation as the other figures. I think the back should be dirtied up. I just realized the back should be dirtied up as well as the front. Maybe I should dirty up his back myself. But, man, he looks fantastic. Zom Bush, back up. Yeah, there we go. Back up a little bit. Let's have a real... I said back up. Zom Bush, please. Stand back, Zom Bush. Please step back. Step. Okay. That was fun. Next up, we have the star of our show. I think he's the star of the show because he is the current sitting president. Why do they call him sitting? I don't know. Barack Obama as Dracula, as Baracula. And again, I got to reference Blackula because it's just so fitting here. His cape is fantastic. His clothing looks great. Let's take this cape off of him and have a real close look. I'm going to try to take the cape off of him. I said we're going to try to take the cape off of him. Okay. His hands are nice, but I really wish they did something to his hands like they did with all the other figures. I wish that they, gave him little claws or something, or painted his nails or something. I really wish that his hands are nice, but they're really plain. I think they should have done something. He is a vampire after all. Sorry for all the cat hair. His shoes are patent leather, like the kind you'd wear to a wedding or to prom. Cat hair everywhere. Sorry about that. I really wish he had some socks. That would be nice. I really wish they all had socks. Because, when they make figures, they put shoes right on bare legs. I think that they should have some socks. This vest, I really want to point out. His vest is really great. Just like John F. Kennedy's Phantom of the White House vest. This is a fantastic vest. I would wear this vest myself. He's got a pendant. Looks really great. Looks like real metal. It's plastic, though. He's got the same movement as the other figures. I also want to mention his afro. It's hard for a lot of figure makers to get an afro right, but his afro looks really great. They did a real good job on that. In fact, they probably did a better job on Barack Obama's afro than they did John F. Kennedy's hair, I would probably say, if I had to compare the two. These figures are really great, really well made. Man, I love them. I love the chain. Look, they put a real chain. I love the real metal chain. Did I say that before? Silky fabric, red on the inside. The outside is silky as well. Fabulous. Let's put this on him. Oh, man. I love these figures so much. Can I express that enough? Look, you can wrap him up. He looks like a bat. He's like a bat there wrapped up. I think he looks great wrapped up like that. Or you can open up his arms. And look at that. He could have his arms open like he's going to take flight. Kind of reminiscent of Batman a little bit, too. But there he is. Baracula. If you could just hold him in that position, if you could put him on a shelf in that position, it would be fantastic. All right, this has been Salvador Los Angeles with my review of Presidential Monsters by Heroes in Action. We have John F. Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, Abraham Lincoln, Richard Nixon, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. Again, I hope we get more. Who knows what's going to happen? I wish that we got the George Washington figure with this, and I wish that they would include an FDR. Thanks for watching.